Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training for our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. The show is broadcast on public access television. You can also catch Veterans News by going to Veterans News UVO on YouTube. By the way, UVO stands for United Veterans Organization. I want to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau and Suffolk counties. I would like to thank Sabrina Lacey, former commander of the Suffolk County VFW, for being our co-host.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome, Sabrina. I'd like to thank our crew. On camera 1, Donald Caulfield. On camera 2, Loretta DeBrino. Our technical director is Beverly Allman. Our director is Robert Lane, and our floor manager and production expert is Pat Galino. By the way, if you'd like to ask me any questions or make any comments about the show, or if you'd like to become a member of our crew, please notify me by going to the email address veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Our guests today are two leaders of the veterans community, James Beecher of the Suffolk County Commander of the American Legion, and Al Ficalora, Al Ficalora of the Nassau County Commander of the American Legion. Both men will tell us something of their military backgrounds and what their organizations are doing to recognize the 100th year of the American Legion. That's right, the American Legion is 100 years old this year, right?
Right.
Okay. We'll talk to our guests in a few minutes, but first let us remember the veterans who died recently. Herbert Klein, a 96-year-old vet of World War II who saw action in both Europe and the Philippines. He was from Oceanside. Raymond Lacassie of Rockville Center fought in the Battle of the Bulge, where he received the Purple Heart and Bronze Star. Peter Samarco, graduate of Queens College, he served as a corporal during the Korean War. He was from Rocky Point. Anthony Estrema was from the community of Ridge. He was a veteran of the Marine Corps, wounded at the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir. Francis Rathgaber of Wanto was a proud Navy veteran during the Vietnam War. Roy Christensen, 98-year-old, was a pilot in the Army Air Corps during World War II. He was from Northport. Michael Malone was a retired Vice Admiral from the U.S. Navy. He was a graduate of Chaminade High School and an academy graduate of the Annapolis in 1970. Robert Nielsen was a Navy vet from World War II who was a retired math teacher at Roosevelt High School. Raymond Garrigan of Point Lookout was a proud Army vet of the Korean War. Donald Kane, formerly of Mount Sinai, served in the Marine Corps in both the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Henry Furlex of North Babylon served in the Korean War with the USMC. James McCowan served 40 years at East Meadow School District. He served proudly in the Navy during the Korean War. If you know a veteran who died recently and you would like their name mentioned here, please email me at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Okay, that's the end of our show. Now it's the time for our guests. Al, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And James.
Nice to be here.
Okay. We're going to talk about the American Legion. I see, Al, you brought some flags and a hat.
This is the American Legion Nassau County flag, and this is the 100-year anniversary official Department of New York hat. This signifies 1919 to 2019. 100 years.
Wow. James, tell me about your service. I'd like to talk about your service first.
I was in the Army from 1968 to 71. I spent 19 months in Vietnam, assigned to the Army mortuary in Da Nang.
Army mortuary. Al, where did you spend
I
your
was
time?
mostly at Fort Bliss. I was called MOS is 95B20, which was military police. And I worked with prisoners. I did fingerprinting. I brought prisoners back on a TDY basis from Vietnam, and did mostly a lot of policing work, like directing traffic, working with the El Paso Police Department, checking on off-post workers who worked on post, and pretty much it.
You were both in the Army?
Both in the Army, yes.
Okay. Jimmy, you worked in the mortuary.
Yes.
You worked just on Army?
No, we handle all services plus all free world forces plus civilians.
Free World Forces, does that mean some Koreans?
Koreans, Australians, New Zealanders. We had some Filipinos we passed through.
Wow. What years were you in Vietnam?
I was there all of 69 and most of 70.
You were there the whole time I was there.
Okay.
I'm glad that we didn't get together. Very good. That had to be a terrible job to do. How many bodies did you handle during the time you were there?
I really couldn't give you an idea of the counts because we were supposed to handle about 360 a month, but we were well over that all the time.
360 a month?
Mhm.
Where did you work? In a specific one location?
I started out in what we called the back room, which was, I was doing body charting and a little bit of fingerprinting. We did dental anatomy there too. That's where I started.
Fingerprinting of the
deceased to match to their ID card or
Yeah.
what the FBI had on hand.
Did you have to go out in the field at all?
Rarely, thank God.
Really? Okay.
James, when you, what is your opinion about how they took care of the veterans when they came back? Because I know it was a time during that period. Because I think, Ed, it was like 58,000 veterans that we lost from the Vietnam War.
Right.
58
So
plus.
if he's saying 360 a month, that's a large amount, and that was just in his area.
Mm-hmm.
So up until today, now you're seeing guys are coming back, and I just lost my husband about 2 weeks ago. But I wanted to say this, thank both of you, and you, Ed, also for your service, because I didn't even know, as being a wife and my husband being in the military, and I used to give out the flags. But the guys that's serving now, when they present the flag to the deceased wife, or the widow as I was, it's very touching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say, me just looking at and just recalling now as you speak that one particular, my husband passing away, you have did an honorable job, and your family has endured all that, because I can imagine the amount of people that you have brought back. But we want to honor you and thank you for what you did, because a lot of people couldn't keep that position and still sit here today and do what you do. But for when they bring them back now, they have the flags, they present the flags. Maybe you got maybe about 100 or 200 coming back at one time, and they presented them at a different level. Do you think that they doing the honorable justice to those veterans that are coming back now, whether they're not alive or whether they being alive, from your perspective?
I just have a stepson who just returned from over in the Middle East, and seems like they're doing a fine job. I mean, and they're shipping the dead. I'm not so much, I go with the pictures of them all the time, but that was definitely taboo when I was in. But they everything I see seems to be very respectful.
Yes, and our condolences to you and your family for your loss. So.
Sabrina, did you lose your husband?
Yeah, my husband was in the major car accident in South Carolina. He was a veteran. And he was a veteran that had some issues coming through.
And
with
that
the
just
military.
happened 2 weeks ago?
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yes. However, this is what it's all about. I spoke to James, you know, with the show, and I
Oh.
spoke to you, I spoke to Bob, you know. My mind is still going, and you know, but to be sitting here and hearing what James have done, right? I have nothing
Oh.
to complain about. And I know that I'm in a good place because I have Nassau County and Suffolk County behind me, and you, Ed, and the viewers out there.
Oh.
And that's what it's all about. And I want to support. I met with a widow woman this morning, and she talked to me about her husband who was a veteran also. And I'm learning how to go through those stages and stuff like that. But like I said, my honor is here.
Oh,
and seeing
Sabrina,
everything.
I feel terrible that you came
My
today, that
condolences.
you were even here.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's hard.
oh. So, tell me, James, you served 17 months, 19 months,
19 months in
in
Vietnam.
Vietnam, and you had to serve 3 years in the service?
Right.
Okay. What did you do when you came home? Or did you spend some time
They
here
tried-
before you
they
went to
tried
Vietnam?
I spent a little bit of time before I went to Vietnam. I came back with 7 months. They tried to get me to go to the mortuary in Delaware, in Dover, Delaware. But I was able to avoid that, and through Jacob Javits, he got me out of it. I wound up in Fort Dix, and I had a security clearance. I wound up as the classified garbage man, an Alpha team. So they didn't know what else to do with me.
Wow. What'd you get out of the service? What was your rank when you got out?
I was an E5.
E5?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
Thank you.
What did you do as a civilian immediately when you got out?
Immediately?
Yes.
Oh, geez, I did a couple things. Drove a cab. My father had a deli. I worked there.
Very good.
I bought a bar. I had that for a couple of years. Then I got involved in a culinary apprenticeship with Del Webb out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I did that for 3 years. And then I came back to the east coast of Florida. I was in Florida till '93, and came back in '93 to New York.
Very good. Al, what'd you do in this as a civilian?
Oh, when I got out, I got a job with the phone company. So I worked with New York Tel for 34 years. It went from New York Tel to 9X to Bell Atlantic
Right.
to Verizon. Now it's Verizon. And the funny thing is that it was the same people, same trucks. They used to just paint them. As the company changed, they just updated the trucks by painting them the new color scheme for that.
Right.
Like I said, from Bell Atlantic to Verizon. But yeah, it was 34 years. I was a service tech, repair. I climbed poles. I did it all, inside, outside, the whole 9 yards.
Did you lose any benefits every time they changed the name?
No, like I said, this is when Judge Green split up, they said it was a monopoly. They split up the phone company. They made the 7 baby bells. So from New York Tel, it went to 9X.
Right.
And then 9X was just New York. Then Bell Atlantic went a little further south to like Virginia. And then after Bell Atlantic, Verizon went from Florida all the way
Right.
up to New Hampshire, I think. But yeah, it was the same, same job, but different
Yeah.
name, got a little bigger.
Okay. Now it's time to talk about the American Legion.
Okay,
The American Legion is 100 years old
right,
this year.
yes.
When did it start exactly? The exact date? Do you know?
Yeah,
The
I think I
exact
got
date
it,
of
exact
the American Legion is, I'm trying to tell you something.
Yes.
The exact date of the American Legion is in March of
March
1919.
15th to 17th. It was, that's when it
Paris
started.
Caucus.
Right,
Paris Caucus?
yeah.
Right.
And
What
then
was that
Well,
about
what they had
Paris?
done was in the month before, a bunch of Allied officers got together and had dinner courtesy of Lieutenant Colonel Theodore Roosevelt
Oh,
at the YMCA in Paris. And they got Blackjack Pershing's blessings to form a military veterans organization. And that Paris caucus was the first meeting. It was supposed to be about 300 men, but they think it was about 900 that actually attended.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then May 8th to 10th, it was the St. Louis caucus. And this is when he adopted the actual name of the American Legion. And then they drafted the preamble of the Constitution, and that was approved. June 9th, the National Executive Committee adopts the Legion emblem. This is the Legion emblem, and each one of these rings and stars represent a different, if you want,
Before
I
you
could
go, Jim, you mentioned Teddy Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
Junior. Teddy Roosevelt Jr.
Right.
Right.
Which is not the president,
No, it was the president's son.
Son.
and he threw some kind of breakfast.
Right. Well, he threw a dinner for the officers there for 20 officers in Paris at the YMCA, and he had this plan beforehand in Plattsburgh, New York, where the well-to-do sons of the elite trained in Plattsburgh to form an officer corps.
Right.
And they followed up on this in Paris, and then of course it was all adopted this way.
Yeah.
And of course, Teddy Roosevelt died right after the landings on Omaha Beach. He was the first general officer ashore.
Right. Now I remember which Roosevelt you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, each emblem or each part of this flag has a different meaning. I don't know if you want me to go on through that, but
I think we want to know for this 100 year from Suffolk County and Nassau County, what are we doing to celebrate this amazing accomplishment?
The thing is, in Nassau
stuff
County,
going
we have 52 posts.
Yes.
And of the 52 posts, only 16 were officially had 100 years. The other posts were later on, like 1924, 1928. The funny thing is, even with the 16 posts, a lot of them didn't pick up their official permanent charter until months or years later. So like my post is a Baldwin post. And we didn't pick up our official, even though we started in 1919, we didn't pick up our official charter until May 28, 1928. That's a long time.
Yeah.
You know, other ones were a little shorter, but most of them, it was within 2 or 3 years, they were able to get chartered permanently.
Which post was the first that got the thing?
The first post was, Teddy Roosevelt. That's called the Quinton Roosevelt Post. And that was
Oyster Bay.
Right, Oyster Bay.
That was the first post?
That was the first post in Nassau County. And then
what's their number?
Are
they number one?
No, their official number?
Yeah.
I think it's 44. I'm almost positive it's 44. But,
so they were the 44th post
but
that was formed in the country?
It might,
No,
in the department, you know. But
Okay.
the thing is, each one of them, you know, is a different number on each post.
Wow.
And it goes on from that to Woodmere, Great Neck, Garden City, Baldwin, of course, Freeport, Glenwood Landing, Lynbrook, Floral Park, Mineola, Hempstead, Hicksville, Seacliff,
Wow.
and finally Valley Stream was the last official 100-year post. The rest of them, the other was later on, many years later.
Jim, what about your posts?
My post was first post in Suffolk County, 94 in Babylon, and it was we actually got our charter on July 19th, 1919, excuse me, because we just had a cocktail party the other day to celebrate that.
Wow.
But and we had a military ball at Leonard's, and we made up this. I don't know if you guys can pick this up. There was 8 and 8. I made it specially, made it up. We have the 5 services on top. Nassau County American Legion, 100 years, the official emblem of Nassau County, and 8 posts that made it 100 years on this one, 8 posts 100 years on this tapestry. And it was 10 feet tall, and we put it on both sides of the dais. So when we called up each post, the 16 posts, not only were they honored with a coin, a 1919 or a 100-year centennial coin, they were also honored. We made up a streamer, so each one of their posts could put it on their post staff, on their post flag, saying that they have 100 years.
Very good.
So we made a big thing out of it. And now you could get shirts, hats, and everything else. Now the department came up with this, and they said, this is a department, you could wear that hat.
Let me see the hat.
Officially. It says Department of New York on the side, too. There you
You
go.
want to put it on?
Very
They're
good.
hard to get now. Everybody wants them. We went up for the department convention, and still we're still hunting them down. They should have made a lot more, because they could make a lot of money just selling them. But
Really?
a lot of posts, a lot of members in the post, they want these. They're like
Sure.
hen's teeth now. So we're hoping we talk to our adjutant, Mr. Jim Casey, and to see what he can do about reproducing some more.
Because
hats.
they came out at our midwinter conference in January, that hat, and they'd only give you 5. They'd only
Right.
sell you 5.
Right, and they sold out right away.
Right away, boom.
They sold them right. I
5
bought,
per person?
Per
yeah,
person.
I bought
Okay.
5, and you figured when you went back to the post, but
Oh.
everybody wanted them then.
Right.
And
It's
then
a
it wasn't
sharp
just
hat.
my post;
Very
it was
nice.
all the posts. You got 50-something posts plus Suffolk County too, and I mean.
Very good.
So hopefully they'll make some more. It's
Very
a nice
good.
hat, beautiful. It's at Department of New York.
So now you only have
1919.
4 left. That's too bad.
But it was a big thing, this 100 years, and we're happy everybody got involved with it. It's as much as they did.
Are you done with celebrating the
Well, we have our
anniversary?
posts, like I said, it was 1919, but I think it was September or October. So we're going to have a big party at our post for our 100 year. Let me see, Baldwin. Yeah, so in, I think September or October, we're going to have a special party just for our post that our charter, that's when we started
Right.
our 100 years. Like
Okay.
I said, we didn't get our permanent charter for almost 10 years later or 9 years later.
Right.
So,
Did
yeah,
the American Legions have their convention yet for this year?
yes,
We had a
had it
department
at
convention. The national
department-
convention is the end of August.
at,
End of August?
We had our department convention in Buffalo,
Where's the national convention going to be
That's
this year?
This year it's in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
So,
So it should be a lot of stuff going on
yeah,
then,
there's
right?
still this 100 years, so
Yeah.
we're gonna see what else they bring. Even in Buffalo, they had special pins that they were handing out. What it said, it was nice. It had a little American Legion emblem on there, 100 years and a centennial. So they're it's a big thing. I mean, you're not gonna be around for the bicentennial, so you might as well take good care of of the centennial. But
Jim, how about Suffolk County? Are they planning anything?
We had on March, I believe it was March 1st, we had a countywide celebration. Each post is celebrating. Now I know that the Islip Post has something coming up in September, and I believe Hampton Bays has something coming up. It's all around, and the Legion's been responsible for so many things. Really, the pushing to the formation of the Veterans Administration.
Right.
The pushing for the start of the GI Bill in 1944. The Agent Orange push, that was originally came out of the Legion. That things, and I assume I see that the Legion is very active in the burn pit now, trying to get everything, the burn pit registry. But the Legion has a lot of other programs in our 4 pillars that we cover.
What are the 4 pillars?
The 4 pillars are veterans, rehabilitation, national security, Americanism, and children and youth.
children and youth. Yeah.
We also call it +1, which is community service.
Okay.
And another thing that's happened just recently, Congress has passed a law that now you could join the American Legion as of December, I guess, 7th, 1941 to the present. Because we had a lot of people used to come down to the post because they weren't in that time frame
Right.
to join Korea, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and so on and so forth. They weren't in that time frame.
Right.
You couldn't join, which our membership suffered. But now that they opened that up, we should have a nice influx of people that want to join the American Legion. And like I said, we had people out. We turned people away at our post. You come down with your DD-214, and it ain't in that time zone. It's not listed. You couldn't join. So now it's all the way from December 41 to
Right.
present. So this will help our membership, and that's our main objective. A membership starts dwindling, then the whole program starts suffering, and the Legion will take a hit.
The Legion started in 1919.
Correct.
If you served in the military in 1920, could you join the American Legion?
Yeah. Well.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Legion
That's-
membership grew by leaps and bounds in
Yeah.
those first couple of years.
Yeah.
Then it declined. They had declined again in the 30s. I guess it was more the economic situation. And then, of course, after the Second World War, it just jumped leaps and bounds.
Right.
We have 2 million members now, right now.
How many
Well-
members you have in Nassau County now, about approximately?
Let me see. I think it's over 2,000 or
Oh, you're about 4,400.
4,400.
What
And
about
we're
us?
about 47,
4,000,
4,800.
yeah.
Okay.
4,000.
Do you find out that there's a lot of, like myself, VFW members joining the American Legions and American Legions joining the VFW more time now?
I have almost 50 years in the VFW.
Yes, I just want the viewers out there to know that everybody is family now. You have the American Legion, you have the DAVs,
Yeah.
all the organizations,
And
veterans
vets, and
are all
vets.
conversing. We're all one
Yeah.
group of people.
Yeah.
And the Suffolk County American Legions, I know I do a lot of work with them in the town of Islip. The question I have for you is, how long is your tenure going to be for Suffolk County? How does that work?
It's usually 1 year,
1 year?
usually.
And what is one of your missions that you have? And I know also you deal with the Boy Scouts, is that correct?
No, Boys State.
Boy
Boy
State.
So tell us a little bit about that. 'Cause we
Boys
don't have
State program is, we teach the civics courses that are not taught anymore. It's we sent 91 boys from Suffolk County. You sent 54.
52.
I think it's
Oh,
54.
yeah.
54 from Nassau. We were 15% of the program for the New York State this year. And we have Boys State, we teach civics that they don't teach anymore. We teach public speaking. We teach a little bit of discipline, leadership.
And what boys are qualified for that?
Well,
They
you
have
have
to
to be a junior. You have to be in the top third of your class.
A
You
junior in
have
high
to be
school?
active.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You have to be active athletically, and then even after school projects or clubs. Also, if you're on the schools, the schools.
Well, athletically is not so much, because we've had kids in wheelchairs with people that, caregivers with them,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
The thing is, we have the Boys State, which is available through our website, but we also have the Legion Oratorical Program, which is a big money contest.
Right.
It's very similar to the Voice of Democracy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
except it's an oral. You're
But if you have if you are in the, if you're a civilian, you could come volunteer for the American Legions like any other organization? The civilian people come volunteer? Do y'all have that? at the
Not
post?
so much.
Not so much?
No.
You got to be a
Okay.
veteran?
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
the auxiliary, and we have the Sons of the
Right.
Legion.
Okay.
Jim, I just want to make sure that everybody knows you were commander of the county VFW as well?
No.
You weren't?
Not the county VFW.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't.
I got that one wrong.
I was commander of a VFW post many years ago, about
Which
four-
one?
Okay,
Smithtown.
Oh,
okay.
But Smithtown, it's not there anymore. that one.
I have to say this because we're running out of town. Remember Thursday, August 29th. That's Thursday, August 29th through Sunday, September 1st. At 3 p.m., the wall that heals is coming to Long Island. Eisenhower Park, Field
Right.
number 2, 1899 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow. Heroes Among Us is proud to host the Wall That Heals. It's a 375-foot